So in this video, I'll show you another controller, right? Container controller called JTextField. So I went ahead and created a project called the TextField project. Go ahead and create it. And of course, I put together this boilerplate code here that you've seen a few times by now. So essentially, we have this our main static entry point here. And of course, we have the swing utilities that invoke later. And then we are calling our text field constructor here that we created. Okay, so it's empty now. So if you save and run, of course, it's not going to show anything because there's nothing to show. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and create our JText and talk about our JTextField. A text field allows us to enter text. You've seen probably certain applications you open up, there's a place you click, and then you can enter text. That's what a text field is. So first of all, we need to go back and create a JFrame, and then once we create JFrame, then we will be able to put our text field control. Okay, so you've done this a few times, so we're going to say JFrame. I'm going to call it JFrame. Call this JFrame is equal to new JFrame, and we need to give it a title. We're going to call this enter text. Okay, before I forget, I always say set visible. That way we don't get issues later. So that's the first thing I usually try to do because it's easy to forget. Okay, now next thing we're going to do, we are going to specify our flow layout for the layout manager. So we're going to say jframe.flow set layout. Okay, I'm going to just pass in there our new flow layout. Okay, we'll take care of that. It's very important. That will allow for things to be organized in our JFrame. Now let's go ahead and give a size. That's set size. So the width, we're going to say 250. And height, we're going to say 120. Okay, that should be good. And of course, we're going to go ahead and set JFrame again. That's set default close operations. We're going to say JFrame dot exit on close. That would allow when you click, that would kill everything once we click on that exit button on the frame. Very important. Let's go ahead and create the text field now. How do we do this text field thing? Well, you probably guessed now. It's just a JTextField. Okay, JTextField is equal to new. Oh, it has to be JTextField. Right. All right, so there it is. But there's something we can do with our text field. We can also pass in here certain parameters. We can pass in, for instance, the columns. How many columns is this going to be? How wide? How many columns wide is this going to be? Let's just say 10, right? So we want to make sure it's 10 columns wide. Okay. And of course, let's go ahead and actually insert it. And for now, just to see if this actually works, let's go ahead and input the this text field inside of our frame. It's going to say JFrame.add component. It's going to be JTextField. Let's save. Let's run and see if something's going to show. Oh, look at that. There it is. We have our text field. So now we can start adding text. So the idea here is that we want to create this very simple application that will allow us to enter a text, and then it will reverse. Once we click a button, it will reverse that word that we entered. So a very interesting little app here. So what we will need is 2 buttons and 2 labels. Now, the reason why I put everything the way things are right now here is because I just wanted to introduce you to this JTextField here. But ideally, since this JTextField should be available everywhere here in our program, it's a good idea to put it at this level here as an instance variable. So what we can do now, okay, instead of having it all like this, I am going to say, let's get rid of this, take this cut and put up here. Okay, so now we have that text field there. And then we also need a button, so say J button. It's going to be called reverse button. Okay, And we also need 2 labels. So it's going to J label, say prompt label, another label. It's going to be content label. Okay. So this is good because now it's at this level here, which is the highest level for the scope, which means we can access this instance variables from anywhere here. So now inside here, we will have to change a few things. So let's see, we're going to create JTextField, just like we did before, right? But now you notice we're not creating the object. We are just now creating the object here, but now it's available everywhere. Now we are going to do something here. I'll explain into more details later. We're going to go ahead and say JTextField.set action command, and we're going to just say here text field. Okay, that's fine. I'll explain later why it's that. Now let's go ahead and create a button here. It's going to call, let's say, so we have created already our instance variable button, so it's going to be reversed button. Okay, so we're going to instantiate it. Reverse button is equal new J button, and we're going to give it a text. What text would that be? I just call reverse. That's fine. Now let's go ahead and add action listeners. Okay, so how do we add listeners? So, well, easily we can just go ahead and say, so we are actually going to add 2 listeners here for our reverse button as well as our JText field here, because we said we want to set action command. That way we will be able, now we pass in this text field so that we are able to differentiate, okay, which action is being triggered. Is it the action of the text field or the action of the button? Okay, so this is why we did this. So now what we're going to do, we're going to say JText that add. If we go ahead and say this, we're going to have an error. Well, why? Because it will say that for this to work, we either have to create an anonymous class, or we'll have to, at this level here, say implements action listener. Now we just click here and we implement the methods that are needed. Okay, which is going to be down here, the action performed. Okay, that will solve our problem. Now we have this action listener, and we can pass our object here, which will take care of everything. And now we can say reverse button that add action listener and do the same. Now both of them are connected and ready to receive actions. Now, if we save this and run, you probably know what's going to happen. Well, the button's not showing and we have nothing. Okay, well, the reason why you probably guess is because all we were able to do so far is to add the text field. We didn't add the button, so let's do that. That's why it's not showing. Let's go ahead and say here, but before that, let's go ahead and create a label, which is going to be just a little prompt. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to say we've created already our prompt label here, so copy this. Now we're going to instantiate it. Is equal to new J label. I'm going to pass, what we're going to pass and say, we're going to say enter text. And for next one, content label, I'm going to say new J label, and we'll pass just nothing. It's going to be empty, because this is where once you click the reverse button and then the text that it's reversed, this is where it's going to show. So that's why, for now there's nothing. We just leave it empty. Okay, perfect. So we have that. Now we're going to go ahead and add to frame all of our controls. Okay, so now next what we're going to do, we added in fact, let's put this first here. Let's add the prompt, right, to say enter text. So we're going to go ahead and say jframe.add, one add component, one to the prompt. Okay, let's save this and see what's going to look like. Oh, look at that. Enter text. Perfect. That's good. Perfect. Good, 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 good. And then we're going to add the frame there. All right. And right then we're going to put the button. Let's go ahead and jframe. Which button should we add? Let's put our reverse button. Okay. And then at the bottom here, jframe.add, we're going to add our content label. That's where the reverse string is going to show. Save this. Let's run again. And there we go. Of course, our reverse string is here. You won't see it because we didn't put anything, as you can see here. Content label, it's new label, and it's empty. Okay, nothing happens right now. Perfect. Now, we're going to go down here, and I like to move this up here. It's much better. All right, so this is where we are going to do everything. Now, we do understand that our E action event here contains all of the functionalities or functions that we need to control and see which action is currently available or currently happened, okay? Has happened. So that's really good information that we need because we have a few buttons and we have also attached an event listener to our text field. So now the idea here, we're gonna go and try to figure out, for instance, if the button was clicked. Okay, so what we can do, we can say if e.get command, action command that equals to what? Well, we want to see if that equals to reverse, which is the name of the button. If that's true, if that's what's happening, if people have clicked the reverse button, then we want to reverse the string logic here. Okay, and then we can say else, which means if the event catched is not reverse, right? If the event, for any reason, the event catch wasn't from the button, then we will automatically know that is the other event has to be from our text field. So let's see what we can do here if that happens, right? So what we can do here, we can go ahead and say, so when that happened, that means, in this case, what we want to do, we're just going to say content label dot set text, and we're going to pass something. You can say you pressed enter, and then we can say text is. Now we're going to go ahead and get the text inside of the text field. And how do we do that? Well, simply we say text field, okay? I'm going to go ahead and say plus JTextField dot get text. See, so we have this method called get, and obviously we'll also have set text that we can use inside of with our JText fields. It's very convenient. We want to reverse our string. There's a lot of different algorithms out there. This is the one that we're going to be using. So we're going to create a string. We're going to call this original string, okay, equals to JText.getText. So essentially we're saying whatever is inside, wherever we have entered in our JText, we're going to put it in our original string here. Okay, that's fine. So we fetch that, and then we're going to create a string we're going to call holder string. Okay, so there we go. Now what we're going to do, we're going to loop through. So we're going to say for int I is equal to original string dot length minus 1. Okay, so I is greater or equal to 0, then I minus. So we start from the last index of the string. So if the string is, for instance, text, right? So we start with the last T and we go backwards, right? And as long as I is less or equal to 0, we decrement. Notice we're not incrementing, we decrement and go through the whole string, right? And reverse, okay? Now, this is where the reverse part happening here. So now what we do once we have that, what we do, we take our holder string that is empty, we say holder, right? And we add each time our new string, and then we plus equals, so we are actually adding whatever we're getting here, which is going to be original string dot character at. That's a method that we have available to us when we're dealing with strings. And you can read here, it returns the char value at the specified index. Okay? So in this case, we have to pass an index, which index is going to be I. So think of it, if in our text here, okay, our example text here, right? So let's say I is 0. So 0, I is 0. This is not going to work. So I has to be 1. So if I is 1, that means 1 minus 1 is 0, right? So at index 0, it goes to where index 0 is and finds the character at 0, at index 0, and takes that character and puts in our string holder here, and does that until all of the characters are transferred to our holder. And then once we've done, that means we have the reverse string. All we have to do is get our counter label, our content label here, content label dot set text, and just pass our holder, because by this time our holder will have all of these strings already reversed, and you save that. Okay, so if you run this, let's see if this works. Let's put hello and reverse, and there we go. That's reverse of hello. Let's put what and reverse, and there we go. That's reverse. So if you hit enter, what happened is this code will run, which will say count and label that set text to whatever is inside our text. Okay, so just showing the text that's inside here. Again, congratulations, you have made it. You've created another great app, simple one, but as we progress, things start getting a little bit more complex, but not overwhelmingly complex, I hope. And you should pat yourself in the back if you were able to get to this point here. And as usual, again, I'll repeat myself, go ahead and build upon this application here, right? You can do a lot of things, just be creative and share what you end up building in the forums with us, because we would like to see what you come up with. All right, so thank you again and have fun, and I'll see you in the next video.